Welcome, everyone, and greetings in the love and the light of the one infinite creator.
It's wonderful to be sharing this space and exploring together again.
Today, we're doing a deep dive into, well, a really beautiful part of the Law of One Material, Session 25. It's often seen as part of the Law of Wisdom teachings.
That's right. And we're planning to go through it question by question. It's quite insightful and generally very positive in tone.
Exactly. What's interesting is how it weaves together, practical concerns about the instrument's health with these really big cosmic conflicts.
It really does. It shows that blend of the personal and the universal, which is, I think, a hallmark of this material. It highlights how our individual lives are tied into these larger dynamics.
Okay, so let's jump right in with that connection. Question one, what caused the instrument's chest cold?
And Ra's answer is pretty direct. It points to the instrument's free will choice, specifically accepting LSD.
Right, but there's another layer to it, isn't there? The Orion entities.
Yes, exactly. Ray mentions this was actually planned, or at least hoped for, by Orion. They wanted the instrument to become, well, less positively polarized.
To dim that service to others light a bit.
Precisely. Ray explains that LSD has this capacity, this facility, to remove quite large stores of vital energy. That was the mechanism.
So Orion's first hope was basically just less positivity.
But it failed. And the reason it failed is quite significant.
Because the instrument used the substance with the intent of service to others, and with thankfulness. Intention seems key here.
Absolutely key. It's a powerful reminder for all of us, Your intention can really reshape the energetic impact of an experience. It neutralized Orion's initial plan.
So when that didn't work, what was their backup plan?
Well, the second hope, according to Ra, involved the misuse of sexual energy transfer.
Oh, hoping for an imbalance there. Perhaps because the vital energy was already lowered.
That seems to be the logic, yes.
Yeah.
But that failed too.
Why did that one fail?
Because of the instrument's really strong green ray energy, that heart-centered love, and just a naturally open, giving nature in those exchanges.
So that inherent loving quality acted like a shield against that kind of manipulation.
It seems so. It suggests that a foundation of genuine love and giving is, well, pretty powerful protection.
Okay, so both those Orion attempts didn't achieve their main goal, but the instrument still got sick. What was the final factor?
The distortion that remained, Ray says, was related to the energy drain combined with the instrument's own patterns, specifically being very busy, maybe overactive, and not getting enough rest.
So the LSD depleted the energy, and the lack of rest made the system vulnerable.
Exactly. That combination left the instrument susceptible to a simple physical infection, the chest cold. It wasn't the LSD directly causing the cold, but the weakened state it helped create.
That feels very relatable. I mean, how often do we push ourselves too hard, get stressed, run down?
And then catch whatever bug is going around, right?
Yeah.
It's that link between our energy, our stress levels, and our physical vulnerability. A really practical insight.
Okay, moving to the second question. How could the instrument best revitalize itself, both then and looking forward?
And Ray's answer here is just beautifully simple. Basic needs are key.
Like what specifically?
Things like meditation, which is crucial for recharging. Also, acceptance of one's limitations, knowing when not to push.
That's a big one.
It really is.
Yeah.
Then, joyful association with others, experiencing beauty. Ra mentions singing as an example. And exercise, especially with contact with nature.
Right, that connection with second-density life forces, particularly trees, was highlighted.
Yes, that grounding energy you get from nature, from trees,
Yeah.
it's deeply restorative. Many traditions recognize that, and Ra confirms it here.
And then there was advice on food and timing, too.
Yeah, moderate but steady nutrition, nothing extreme. And for exercise, suggested times were early and later in the day, sort of before rest periods. Sensible, balanced stuff.
It really is timeless wisdom, isn't it? Things we all know deep down are good for us.
Completely. It's not about complex rituals. It's fundamental self-care. And it applies just as much to us today as it did to the instrument then, looking after the whole self, physical, emotional, spiritual.
Okay, question 3 was about how Don and Jim, the other group members, could help the instrument revitalize.
And Ra's response here is a little guarded. They say the question isn't quite appropriate for a full answer, which sometimes happens when questions get very specific to the group's dynamics.
But they did acknowledge Don and Jim's efforts.
Oh, yes. Ra calls them most conscientious, recognizing their care and dedication.
And there was one specific suggestion Ra did offer.
Yes, a subtle but interesting point. Ra notes the instrument's distortion towards imbalance in the space-time nexus is basically a tendency to maybe get caught up in activity and lose track of energy levels.
Okay.
So Ra suggested that having Dawn or Jem accompany the instrument during exercise would be helpful, not controlling, just being present, a balancing presence.
That speaks to the value of companionship and support in our own well-being efforts, doesn't it?
It really does. Having someone alongside you, whether it's for exercise or just navigating life, can make a huge difference. Gentle support.
Okay, so we've covered these more personal, well-being focused questions.
Yeah.
Now the session takes a turn, right? Towards much bigger cosmic events.
Yeah, it shifts gears quite dramatically,
Mm.
but it still feels connected, showing how our individual sphere is part of this much larger reality.
So question 4 asks about what happened after the Orion group supposedly left Earth 3,000 years ago. Did the Confederation make progress then?
Reyes explains that the conflict didn't just stop. For many centuries, the Confederation and the Orion group were still engaged in battles, but primarily on the time-space planes, sort of non-physical realms.
So the direct physical influence lessened, but the energetic struggle continued elsewhere.
That's the picture Rey paints. And on the Earth plane itself, the energies already set in motion earlier didn't result in a huge increase in humanity calling for help.
The call being that collective desire or signal for assistance from higher densities.
Exactly. The overall vibe on Earth during that period didn't generate a strong, unified call for Confederation intervention. Humanity's own seeking is important for that kind of contact.
But there were exceptions, isolated calls.
Yes, starting around 2,600 years ago, particularly in Greece. Ra mentions philosophers like Thales and Heraclitus and the understandings around Pericles as examples of individuals or small groups whose callings were heard.
And the Confederation's response was limited.
Limited, yes, mostly involving telepathic impressing of visionary information onto those receptive minds. Not direct intervention, but sharing insights.
But the main trend during that time was still driven by older energies.
Pretty much. Ra says empires rose and fell based on those energies set in motion earlier, leading to that characteristic mix of positive actions and negative or warlike tendencies typical of this final stage of the cycle.
You can definitely see echoes of that cyclical rise and fall, that mix of forces throughout history, even now.
Absolutely. Those patterns of conflict and cooperation, progress and setbacks seem quite persistent.
Okay, so question 5 digs into the nature of this ongoing battle between the Confederation and Orion. How is it actually fought?
Ra uses a powerful analogy here. They ask the questioner to picture their mind unified with all other minds in their society.
Like a collective consciousness.
Exactly, becoming like a single entity. Then imagine that collective mind, like a weak electrical charge on its own, suddenly becoming this immensely powerful machine capable of projecting thoughts as tangible things.
Wow. So it's a battle of focused collective thought forms.
That's the idea, a thought war. In this conflict, Ra says Orion attacks the Confederation with light.
Light. That sounds positive.
Well, it's Orion's version of light used for manipulation and control, separated from love. The Confederation defends, also using principles of light, but integrated with love.
And the result is described as a stalemate.
Yeah, a kind of standoff where both sides experience depletion.
How are they depleted differently? Ra mentioned failure to manipulate versus failure to accept.
Right. Orion, the negative side, gets depleted because their attempts to manipulate and control fail. They expend energy trying to dominate, and it doesn't work, leading to frustration and energy loss.
Okay, that makes sense. What about the Confederation's depletion failure to accept that which is given?
This is more complex. Ra explains it in the next answer. Basically, at this level of thought war, the most loving response, in a purely abstract sense, might be to just absorb the negative attack with total love, potentially transforming the attacker.
Just pure acceptance.
But, and this is the key part, in a battle between relative equals like this, if the Confederation purely accepted the manipulation, they'd essentially be allowing themselves and potentially those they serve to be enslaved or rendered ineffective.
So they can't fully accept the gift of Orion's manipulation if they want to remain useful in service to others.
Exactly. They have to maintain a defensive posture to preserve their ability to help. This act of defending, of not fully accepting the negativity, creates friction. It means they aren't being purely passively accepting.
And that friction causes them to lose some energy, some polarity as well.
Yes. It's the energy cost of maintaining boundaries and defending against negativity, even when done from a place of love. So both sides have to regroup afterward.
So this thought war isn't really fruitful for either side's main goals.
Apparently not. But Ra adds a crucial point. It is helpful in balancing the overall energies available to the planet.
How so?
By keeping these powerful positive and negative forces engaged with each other, it prevents either side from overwhelming the planetary energy field entirely, which lessens the risk of total annihilation, a kind of dynamic tension.
That's a fascinating perspective. Okay, question 7 asks if only a part of the Confederation engages in this, and roughly what percentage?
And Ra emphasizes just how demanding this work is. They call it the most difficult work of the Confederation.
And the number involved is surprisingly small.
Extremely small. Ra states only 4 planetary entities are involved in this thought battle at any one time.
Just 4 out of the entire Confederation.
Seems so. It really underscores how specialized and intense this task must be.
Which leads directly to question 8. What density are these 4 entities?
They are 4th density entities, the density of love or understanding.
Okay, 4th density. Now, question 9 explores why 4th density. Is it actually the most effective density for this compared to, say, 5th or 6th?
Rest's answer here is really illuminating about the different densities. They say 4th density, much like our own 3rd density in some ways, still lacks the complete wisdom to refrain from battle altogether.
Meaning they still see the necessity for it.
Yes, they understand love deeply, but from their perspective, engaging defensively is sometimes necessary. They haven't reached the level of wisdom found in 5th or 6th density, where conflict might be approached very differently or transcended entirely.
So it's specifically 4th density social memory complexes that are suited for and undertake this kind of engagement.
That's what Ra concludes, yes. Their particular blend of love and a perspective that still perceives the need for active defense makes them necessary for this specific role.
Okay, 10th question. Are there 4th density beings on both sides of this battle? And do 5th and 6th density beings on the Orion side not participate either?
Ra confirms this is partially correct, but also notes the instrument's energy is getting low, so the answer might be brief.
Got it. So what's confirmed?
It's confirmed that positive 5th and 6th density entities don't participate. That aligns with their higher wisdom and focus on unity.
And what about the negative side? Do their higher densities join in?
Interestingly, no. Ra states that 5th density negative entities also do not participate in this specific thought war.
Really? Why not?
Ra clarifies this a bit more in the final short answer. 5th density, even on the negative path, is associated with light and wisdom, albeit self-serving wisdom. So these 5th density negative beings have immense awareness. They have apparently ceased most direct activity, including this kind of battle, focusing instead purely on thought and influence. Ra describes them as extraordinarily compacted and separated from all else.
Wow, so at that level, negative evolution trends towards isolation and mental manipulation rather than direct conflict.
That seems to be the implication. A very different approach compared to the 4th density engagement. So yes, it seems only 4th density of both orientations are the primary participants in this specific thought war.
And then the session wraps up with a couple of very short questions, mainly checking on the instrument's comfort.
Exactly. First, asking if anything can be done to make the instrument more comfortable. Ra points out a practical issue, the angle of the arms causing nerve blockage in the elbows. Just shows that attention to physical detail.
And the very last bit circled back to clarify why those 5th density negatives don't participate.
Yes, reinforcing that point about their high awareness, wisdom focused on self, and their shift towards pure thought and separation, away from active conflict.
It's quite a picture of how negative polarity might evolve at higher levels, towards intense, isolated consciousness.
A stark contrast to the positive path towards unity and connection, isn't it?
Absolutely. So looking back at session 25 as a whole, what a range. From dealing with a chest call to these cosmic thought wars.
It really covers the spectrum, doesn't it?
Yeah.
But always with that thread of interconnectedness, our personal state, our choices, our energy. It all ties into the larger cosmic picture and vice versa.
And despite the talk of conflict, the overall feel of the session is quite positive and, well, deeply insightful, like you said at the start. That law of wisdom aspect really shines through.
I agree. It offers so much practical wisdom for self-care, rest, intention, connecting with nature, managing energy, alongside these mind-expanding glimpses into how the universe operates on other levels.
We saw the power of intention, the importance of balance, the reality of energetic influences, both positive and negative.
And that look at the different densities, how 4th density engages with conflict compared to higher levels.
Yeah.
It gives such a profound perspective on consciousness itself.
So, for everyone listening, as you reflect on this deep dive into session 25, maybe consider that link in your own life. How does your personal well being connect to the energies around you?
Yeah, think about the power of your own thoughts and intentions. How can you cultivate more of that positive, loving energy that Ra highlights as being so protective and foundational?
And perhaps ponder the nature of conflict and resolution, both in your life and on a larger scale. What does it mean to hold boundaries while still striving for love and understanding? Lots to think about.
Indeed. May you continue your journey in the love and the light of the one infinite creator.
Namaste. I am you, and you are me.